This billboard near Kauffman Stadium could have All-Star fans doing a double take. It claims hot dogs are as dangerous to your health as cigarettes.
Americans eat 7 billion hot dogs between Memorial Day and Labor Day. 7 billion. You'd think somebody would check what's in them. I spent weeks digging through recall databases, health inspection records, ingredient labels, and employee confessions. What I found will change the way you look at a hot dog, even if you think it's better to bite in without knowing. One chain reheats its dogs day after day until someone finally buys one. Employees call it a long, sad, wet journey. A USDA-approved ingredient in your kid's hot dog is made by pressure blasting animal carcasses through a sieve until it turns into a mushy paste. A Ballpark concessionaire got caught serving moldy buns during the World Series, then fired the guy who reported it. But a few places are doing it right. Real beef, clean labels, fair prices. After all, who doesn't love a great hot dog? 8 hot dogs I'd never buy, from not great to worst. 3 I'd still feed my kids. Let's go. 8, A&W goes back to 1919. Root beer floats, Coney dogs, that brown and orange nostalgia. If you grew up in the 70s, you probably have a fond memory of this place. That memory is doing all the heavy lifting, because the hot dog sure isn't. Most A&W locations today are bolted onto KFC or Long John Silver's inside gas stations and combo units, and the hot dog matches the vibe. One reviewer said biting into it felt like chewing a wet sponge that somebody briefly introduced to a grill. No snap, no flavor. A hot dog that exists only because nobody bothered to take it off the menu. For years, A&W shared buildings and supply chains with some of the biggest fast food names in the country. A century in business, billions in sales across the system. And this is the hot dog they came up with. If you're at an A&W, get the root beer float. It still slaps. If your local A&W actually nails the dog, cherish it. You're getting a version a lot of people say doesn't exist anymore. But at least A&W has a history. The next chain serves a hot dog that looks like it gave up on life before it hit the bun. 7. Freddy's frozen custard and steak burgers. Freddy's started in Wichita, Kansas in 2002. Named after a World War II veteran. About 550 locations. Great smash burgers. Top-tier frozen custard. Then you look at the hot dog and wonder if it wandered in from a different restaurant. Reviewers call it skinny, shriveled, and lifeless. One person on Reddit wrote that ordering it was an insult to the bun. Not because it's dangerous, because a chain this good at burgers looked at the hot dog and said, good enough. It wasn't. Ordering a hot dog at Freddy's is like going to a 5-star hotel and sleeping in the parking lot. Freddy's doesn't advertise the hot dog, and it shows. This isn't a safety problem, it's a wasted order. Go for the burgers and custard. The hot dog earned nothing. Now, Freddy's doesn't pretend to be a hot dog restaurant. The next chain literally has Wiener in the name, and somehow still can't get it right. 6. Wienerschnitzel. Wienerschnitzel is the world's largest hot dog chain. Over 340 locations, mostly in the Southwest. Selling hot dogs since 1961. This is their one job. They're blowing it. Their signature chili cheese dog, the thing on every billboard, gets dragged in reviews. Rubbery texture, bland flavor, chili that tastes like it came from a can that's been sitting in the back of a warehouse since the Clinton administration. One food blogger wrote, "I've had gas station dogs with more personality." Here's the part that should bother you. Wienerschnitzel calls their frank all beef. Sounds clean, right? All beef just means beef is the only meat. Under USDA rules, that dog can still be nearly 1/3 pure fat, plus corn syrup, sodium nitrite, and fillers. All beef is a marketing line, the food industry's version of "trust me, bro." And if you've got kids in the backseat on a road trip through Arizona, Wienerschnitzel is exactly the kind of drive-through that looks easy. Now you know what all beef is actually hiding. In multiple rankings and reviews, the corn dogs consistently score higher than the straight franks. One former employee on Reddit admitted they ate corn dogs on every shift, but never touched the franks. The world's biggest hot dog chain can't beat its own side item. Let that sink in. If you stop at one, get the corn dog. And if the menu says all beef anywhere else, flip the package. That phrase means less than you think, but Wienerschnitzel at least tries. The next entry is an ice cream shop that decided to sell hot dogs, and every taste test on the internet wishes they hadn't. 5. Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen's been around since 1940. They do ice cream better than almost anyone. The Blizzard is a national treasure, nobody argues with that. The hot dog is a national embarrassment. Every major food ranking, Chowhound, Tasting Table, Mashed, Daily Meal puts the DQ hot dog dead last. One Business Insider critic didn't just call it the worst hot dog she'd ever had. She called it the worst fast food item, period. But the real horror comes from the people who work there. Former DQ employees on Reddit have described dropping hot dogs into boiling water, microwaving them, then letting them sit for hours. One said they'd reheat the same batch day after day until somebody finally ordered one. Another put it bluntly, "Those dogs have been on a journey. A long, sad, wet journey." Not every location does this, but enough employees say the same thing that it's a pattern, not a fluke. When the staff won't eat it, that's your sign. Who owns Dairy Queen? Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, $364 billion in revenue. They could hire one person per location just to make sure the hot dog doesn't look like it crawled out of a bathtub. Instead, those dogs sit in lukewarm water until somebody loses a bet. A DQ hot dog is what happens when an ice cream empire tries meat, and the meat says no thanks. If you're there, get the blizzard. Get the chicken strips. Do not order the hot dog. It's not the one thing DQ does wrong. It's the one thing DQ doesn't try to do right. If you've ever had a DQ hot dog that proved me wrong, drop the location in the comments. I genuinely want proof one exists. If you want more content that digs behind the counter at the places where you actually eat, hit subscribe. This is what we do. 4. The gas station roller dog. You've seen this one. Maybe you've eaten it. Road trip. Starving. You pull into a gas station, and there they are. Spinning on a roller grill under a heat lamp, glistening with something that could be grease, condensation, or the dog's way of crying for help. Every one of those dogs looks like it's auditioning for a sad documentary about food nobody wanted. Here's what nobody tells you. There's no federal rule forcing every gas station to log how long those dogs sit there. Some states and chains have internal timers. Plenty don't, especially at that 2 a.m. shift. And even when the label says all beef, you've still got the same loophole we just saw at Wienerschnitzel: marketing on the sign, mystery in the casing. Now let's talk about what's actually on that roller. In 2024, a company called AW Farms in Kentucky got caught shipping nearly 7,000 pounds of hot dogs that were never federally inspected. No USDA stamp, no safety check. That's enough hot dogs to fill a school cafeteria for months. People in Ohio and West Virginia ate them and had absolutely no clue. And those corn dogs in the warmer? In 2025, Foster Farms recalled over 3 million pounds of frozen chicken corn dogs because kids were biting into wooden shards baked into the batter. The World Health Organization puts processed meat in the same risk category as cigarettes and asbestos. A gas station roller dog isn't food. It's a dare with ketchup. If you're traveling with kids, reach for something sealed. If you absolutely have to grab one, pick the busiest station you can find. Fast turnover means fresher dogs. If it looks shriveled or like it's been spinning since the last Super Bowl, and keep driving. But here's the thing. At a gas station, you can leave. At a ballpark, you're locked in. And what they're selling you in those stands is worse than anything on that roller. 3. The worst ballpark hot dogs. Close your eyes. You're 8 years old. Your dad's got 2 tickets. You walk through the tunnel and the field opens up. Green grass, white lines, crack of a bat. He buys you a hot dog. You don't care what's in it. It's a hot dog at a ballpark with your dad. That's the whole memory. Now open your eyes. Because that hot dog costs $9 at Wrigley Field, some stadiums charge even more, and the one your kid is holding, it costs the stadium less than 50 cents. That's not a concession stand. That's a toll booth with mustard. One of the biggest names behind those stadium dogs is Aramark. Over $20 billion a year, they could run the cleanest kitchens in sports. Instead, their own food safety manager blew the whistle on them. His name is John Costa, former health inspector hired by Aramark to keep their stadium safe. In 2014, he went public about 2 Kansas City venues. Green-black mold on the buns. Not a speck in a corner. Visible fuzzy patches on bread they were about to hand to fans. Expired dough reheated during the World Series. 20 out of 26 food stands with violations. Aramark's response? They fired him. Not for the mold. For talking about the mold. You don't fire the guy who finds the problem unless the problem is how you do business. ESPN's Outside the Lines ran one of the most comprehensive stadium food investigations ever. At nearly 1 in 3 pro sports venues, half or more of the food outlets had serious violations. Problems turned up across all the big contractors, but Aramark's Kansas City story is the one that made national headlines. At Tropicana Field, every single inspected outlet failed. Slime in ice machines. Toxic chemicals next to condiments. That's not a kitchen. That's a crime scene with a soda fountain. Now, not every ballpark dog is a disgrace. The Fenway Frank is practically sacred. Simple, snappy, part of the game since before your grandparents were born. Wrigley's foot-long Chicago-style dog just ranked #1 in MLB's 2025 rankings, 54 cents an inch. That's a hot dog that respects you. But at Lone Depot Park in Miami, dead last. Over $2 per inch for a dog that tastes like a swamp picked a fight with a bun. And the dog at most generic stands? You don't know the brand. You don't know how long it sat in that warmer. If you're over 50, listeria from a lukewarm dog isn't a stomachache. It can put you in the hospital. You just paid $9 for that risk. If your grandkids want a ballpark dog, look for stands with a named brand on the sign. A few stadiums, Yankee Stadium, Dodger Stadium, still let you bring outside food. At least at the ballpark, you can see the dog before you buy it. The next entry, you can't. You won't know the brand. You won't see the ingredients. You'll just eat it and hope. 2. The Mystery Hotel, School, and Cafeteria. Hot dog. Every hot dog on this list so far had a name, a logo, somewhere you could leave a review. This one hides. You've seen it at a Drury Inn. Their evening 5:30 kickback regularly features hot dogs in a warmer tray. Super 8, Econo Lodge, Days Inn. Budget hotels where the breakfast spread includes wrinkled franks turning a shade of brown that doesn't exist in nature. You grab one because it's free. You never ask the brand. Neither does the hotel. That frank has been sitting there since checkout time, slowly becoming a piece of evidence. Now multiply that across every school cafeteria, hospital tray, and corporate event in the country. 3 companies run the food at nearly 80% of those places: Aramark, Sodexo, and Compass Group. You already met Aramark at the ballpark. The other 2 are worse. Sodexo pulls in $26 billion a year. They could serve your kid real food. Instead, over the last decade, they've paid tens of millions in settlements for overcharging schools and serving substandard meat. In New York alone, they pocketed $20 million in supplier kickbacks, money supposed to go toward children's lunches, stolen from kids' plates. In 2012, hundreds of Sodexo-run schools in Germany made thousands of children sick from contaminated food. A year later, horse meat DNA turned up in their beef supply. Think about that. Parents packed their kids off to school. The school served them lunch, and the beef wasn't beef. Compass Group's subsidiary Chartwell's has settled similar claims. So when your kid gets a hot dog at school lunch, or you grab one at a Days Inn, you're not eating a brand. You're eating whatever the supplier got the biggest kickback on. No label, no brand name, just the cheapest dog the contract could buy. It doesn't feel like food service, it feels like a shell game, with a steam tray, moving the cheapest meat around until nobody remembers what it started as. The most dangerous hot dog in America isn't from Dairy Queen or the ballpark. It's the one served by a company you've never heard of, bought on a kickback, and put in front of your kid without a label. If someone serves you a hot dog and can't tell you the brand, skip it. At a hotel breakfast, grab the eggs instead. And for your kids' school lunches, a PB&J from home beats a mystery tube from a Sodexo steam tray every time. 1. The cheap grocery store, hot dog in your fridge. You expected a chain, maybe a stadium, maybe a restaurant you hate. But the worst hot dog in America isn't the one somebody else serves you. It's the one in your refrigerator right now. Let me name names. Bar S Classic Franks, one of the top-selling hot dogs in America. First ingredient, mechanically separated chicken, not beef. Chicken paste, mushy, salty, more filler than flavor. A pack costs $2. There's a reason. Oscar Mayer Classic Wieners, the brand with the jingle you sang as a kid. Flip it over. Mechanically separated chicken, turkey, and pork. 3 animals blended into one tube. Your nostalgia is doing all the work. The ingredients aren't. Ballpark Classic Franks. Mechanically separated chicken and pork. Consumer Reports called them bland. They burst on the grill and the skin separates from the meat. The name says Ballpark. The ingredients say factory floor. Great value from Walmart, Kroger store brand, same playbook, same first ingredient. Now let me show you what mechanically separated actually means, because the label is counting on you not picturing it. After the real cuts are gone, the breasts, the thighs, the parts you'd actually choose, they take what's left and force it through a metal sieve under high pressure. Tendons, cartilage, whatever's still clinging to bone. What comes out is a soft, wet, pink paste, spreadable like raw cake batter mixed with something you'd rather not think about. That's the first ingredient in the most popular hot dog in America. That's what's in your fridge right now. Tyson makes Ballpark. $53 billion a year, they could make every frank they sell from 100% beef. Instead, the best sellers start with paste. Kraft Heinz, Sigma Alimentos, same math, same choice. These brands sell premium lines with cleaner labels. I'm talking about their cheapest classic franks, the ones that fly off shelves in bulk. Same story at every level of this video. The gas station, the ballpark, the school cafeteria, and now your own kitchen. Same paste, same loopholes, different logos. The worst hot dog in America isn't behind a counter. It's in your fridge. It's been there this whole time. Here's your cheat sheet. If mechanically separated anything is in the first few ingredients, put it back. Look for 100% beef, no byproducts, no corn syrup, Hebrew National, Applegate, Kirkland Signature, $1 or $2 more per pack. That's the price of knowing what you're feeding your family. If you're pregnant or on blood pressure medication, sodium nitrite in processed dogs is one more reason to be picky. Treat hot dogs like a sometimes food, not 3 times a week all summer, especially for your kids. If you've made it this far, you care more than most. Hit like so YouTube shows this to more people who need to see it. All right, deep breath. We made it through the worst. But not every hot dog is trying to poison you, rip you off, or insult your intelligence. A few places are doing it right, and they deserve your money. As we head into the final 3, which spot are you hoping made the cut? Drop it in the comments. Let's see who called it. 3. Nathan's Famous. Nathan's has been around since 1916. Coney Island, Brooklyn. The 4th of July eating contest. The name is basically a synonym for hot dog in America. And unlike half the chains on the worst list, they actually back it up. 100% beef frank, natural spice casing. You bite in and you get that snap. That crack every dog on the worst list was missing. Bold, beefy, seasoned like someone actually wrote a recipe instead of just running a factory line. Fair warning, not every Nathan's is created equal. Some franchise outposts and airports and food courts phone it in. Like every big supplier, Nathan's has shown up in recall lists. Nobody in this industry is spotless, but relative to everything on the worst list, this is a much better bet. Not cheap though. You're paying restaurant prices. This is a treat, not a Tuesday. Order the original Frank with mustard and sauerkraut? That's the dog that built the legend. Skip the loaded specials, you're paying for toppings, not quality. Nathan's has the history and the flavor. But if you want the best value, a dog that's better and cheaper than almost everything on the worst list, there's only one answer. 2. Shake Shack. Shake Shack started as a hot dog cart in Madison Square Park, New York in 2001. Danny Meyer, the restaurateur behind some of Manhattan's best spots, wanted to prove fast food didn't have to be garbage. He proved it. 100% beef, all natural. No hormones, no antibiotics. They split the dog and griddle it flat so you get a crispy golden sear on both sides that you can hear when you bite in. The bun is a Martin's potato roll. Soft, buttery, built to hold up. Multiple outlets have ranked it the #1 fast food hot dog in America. It's not cheap, $5 to $6 a dog. And with only about 300 locations, mostly in big cities, it's not an option for everybody. But at ballpark prices without the ballpark ripoff and without the mystery ingredients, worth every penny when you can get there. Shake Shack proves a fast food hot dog can be good. But if you want the one that breaks every rule on the worst list, there's one spot left. 1. Costco food court. After everything on this list, the markups, the fillers, the meat paste, the companies that look at your family and see a line on a spreadsheet, Costco is the opposite of all of it. A quarter-pound hot dog, 100% beef, no fillers, no byproducts, no corn syrup, no artificial colors or flavors. USDA choice grade, the second highest there is, plus a 20-ounce fountain drink, $1.50. Same price since 1985, 40 years. Let that land. The ballpark charges you $8 for a mystery dog that's been in a warmer since batting practice. Costco gives you a quarter pound of USDA choice beef and a drink for $1.50. One is a ripoff. The other is a promise kept for 4 decades. Here's why. When Costco's CEO said they were losing money and needed to raise the price, co-founder Jim Sinegal replied, "If you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you. Figure it out." So they figured it out. Costco built their own processing plants to keep costs down and quality up. They ditched Hebrew National and created Kirkland Signature, which beat Hebrew National in blind taste tests. In 2024, Costco sold over 124 million hot dogs, more than every MLB stadium in America combined. Now, Costco did cut the onion topping station. Fans are still salty, and it does contain sodium nitrite, like virtually all cured dogs. If you're on a strict low sodium or no processed meat diet, this is still an occasional treat. It's not health food. But in a world of $8 mystery franks and meat paste wrapped in a soggy bun, Costco is as honest as a hot dog gets. If I had to hand my kid one hot dog from any chain, any restaurant, any ballpark in this country, and not worry for 1 second about what's inside, $1.50. Costco, conversation over. Here's what I want you to take with you. You grew up eating hot dogs at ball games, at cookouts, at the kitchen table. So did I. I'm not telling you to stop. I'm telling you to stop eating them with your eyes closed. You know the labels to look for now. You know which places earned your trust and which ones didn't. At the ballpark, look for named brands or bring your own. At a gas station, keep driving. If someone serves you a hot dog and can't name the brand, skip it. Every dollar you spend is a vote. When you choose the dog with a clean label over the one packed with paste, you're telling the industry, we read the fine print now. If you've got a hot dog horror story awide from a ballpark, a gas station, a school cafeteria, anywhere, drop it in the comments. The best ones might show up in a future video. Hit subscribe if you want more content that goes behind the counter and behind the label. I've got more you need to see. That hot dog your dad bought you at the ballpark in 1985? It had real beef in it, and it cost $2. Make sure the one you buy tomorrow can say the same.